Okay, so that's all we can... Oh, God. Come here, you little f***er. Where'd he go? I can't... You can't shoot this... wait, can you? No, you can't shoot it in the water. Oh, God! Ouch! Hello, everybody, and welcome to a return to Empyrion Galactic Survival. If you have been a viewer of my channel for over 3 years, then you are probably aware that I used to play this game quite a bit. And it's been about 3.5 years since I have played it. Back in March 2022, I believe, was the last time I played the game. And then I just put it down at that point because, frankly, I was burned out on it and haven't come back to it since then. The game has changed since that time. It has been fully released, I believe. After that? Maybe it was before that, I don't know. I think it was actually before that. I don't remember for sure. But anyway, the point is that they have made even more changes to the game. They've completed the main storyline, as you can see in the release notes here. The galaxy has been reworked. One of my biggest complaints about Empyrion was that, let's turn that music volume down a bit, was that, you know, it was a very shallow ocean. So, you know, you had thousands and thousands of star systems you could go to in the galaxy, but they all looked the same. So to what degree that has been changed in the, you know, since the last time I played, will, you know, remains to be seen, but hopefully, you know, there's more variety in the planets. There's new weapons, there's new mechanics, there's, you know, I don't know that the graphics have changed a whole lot since the last time I played. The one thing I wanted to say to any of you who have never played or seen this game too, it is a voxel game, so it's similar to, you know, 7 Days to Die, block building type of game. So don't expect, you know, AAA graphics. Now, that being said, the landscapes, particularly on the, you know, more lush planets, do look really good. You know, for a voxel game, they look very good. Character, not so much. But, you know, it is what it is. One of the nice things about this game is that you can actually build your own spaceships and your own bases and space stations, you know, from the ground up. So it's pretty cool, you know, that you can do that with it. But, you know, it is a voxel game, and it's certainly, you know, an indie, you know, type of game. But it has been around for several years too. Now, as far as how this series is going to go, it depends upon two factors, and really every series that I do on this channel depends upon these two factors. The first one is my own enjoyment of it, because let's face it, if I'm not enjoying the game, then I'm not going to produce high quality content, and it'll be obvious to you guys. So that's important. So, you know, the extent to which I get back into the game and enjoy it and, you know, feel like it's worth, you know, going for the long haul will just depend, you know, upon how that goes, how the game's change, how I'm feeling about it. If that is the case, if I am really getting into it, you know, then we'll do we'll start with this vanilla playthrough. I need to play through vanilla again because it's been so long, I don't even remember a whole lot of stuff about the game. But then, you know, maybe we'll advance to like Reforged Eden and keep the series going. And then, of course, the second thing is if you guys are enjoying it, you know, I need, you know, I need enough of you guys watching it on a regular basis for it to be viable for me to continue doing, you know, from a business perspective. So, you know, so we'll watch the views. If you guys are interested and you want more, you know, leave comments, let me know. Yes, let's keep it going. But, you know, I need to have enough views for it to be worth my time to do this. Okay, so those are the two things. If I'm enjoying it and if you guys are enjoying it and we're getting enough views more specifically, then we'll keep it going. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and start a single player game. So we're going to do a survival game, which is kind of just the default type of thing. Scenarios are things you can do like Reforged Eden from the workshop, and again, we'll get into those later if, you know, if we decide to keep this going. Creative mode is just building, and then freedom is like survival, but you don't have the survival aspects. So definitely want survival. And then, you know, then you have your settings here. So we're going to just call this, we'll call this, how about OG's return to Empyrion. Okay, we'll set that. For the seed, let's just randomize it. I'm just going to click this a few times and not even care what it says. So we're going to set that seed. If you do want to play along with me, though, now you know what the seed is and you can type that in directly. As far as the difficulty settings goes, I think we're going to just, again, because I'm coming back to it after 3.5 years and have to kind of, you know, I'm going to have to relearn and reacclimate myself to things. I think I'm going to leave everything here on default, just on its normal, you know, the normal settings. And then as we go along, if there's a couple of things that are just irritating the fuck out of me, and, you know, for example, if it's taking too long for blueprints or something like that, you know, then I'll come in here and adjust it. So I do reserve the right to do that, but we'll just start off, you know, with the normal settings. As far as the planet locations, Akua is the, you know, is the most, you know, the easiest planet. It's also a very pretty planet. And I think, again, we'll start on Akua. This is going to be as vanilla as it gets for our first time coming back to the game. But you also have other planets like Ninguis here is very cold, super hard to get started on. I don't know why they say the planet difficulty is easy, because it's not. If I remember right, this planet is brutal because of the cold, you know, because temperature is a thing. Unless something's changed, I don't know. Then there's Skillin. This is a, you know, a desert planet, so you're going to have the opposite problem here. You're going to have to deal with heat and, you know, hydration and stuff like that. Masperon is not hard to survive in as far as the environment, but it's very dangerous because of enemies and stuff like that. It's a swamp planet. I have done swamp planet starts before. They're pretty fun. And then this is new. This is you start in orbit. This was not in the game last time I played. It says it's easy, but I don't know if that's actually true. Something we might think about doing a start of, you know, in the future if we keep things going. But I don't think we'll do that this time around. And then Contact Point Alpha is a new, well, again, when I say new, that means new within the last 3.5 years since I've played, okay? So let's qualify that up front. But here you've got a war happening, and so you've got different factions fighting against each other, and you can get caught in the crossfire, and you can see the warnings and stuff down here. Again, something we might consider doing in the future, but for now, we're just going to do a vanilla start. Okay, so that is pretty much the settings here. So let's go ahead and click start and see what happens. Okay, we're crashing down here in our escape pod, which I guess I can't steer. I thought you used to be able to steer this, but maybe not. Ouch. And that was hard on my my herniated disc.
Emergency situation detected. Robinson Protocol UCH001A initiated. Do you want to activate the tutorial help information system?
No. I don't think I do. And that's because it's, you know, I know how to play this game. It's just rusty, and I'm going to have to remember some things. And if we activate this, I think it's going to do a bunch of pop-ups and be irritating as hell. So let's say no on that. And the other thing I do want to mention, and I can reactivate this too, by the way, in the PDA. One thing I do want to mention is that I did play the game for maybe 2 hours. Just, you know, because I didn't want to be so... noobish is the word, before I started recording, so I have a clue at least, you know, what to do in the very early part of the game. So I did play it just off camera 2 hours to kind of reacclimate myself to, at least to the, oh god, that's beautiful. At least to the beginning of the game. Okay, so, if you are a current player of this game and you've been playing for a while, just be aware that, you know, I got to relearn stuff. I'm not going to remember everything, and there are some new things too. So, you know, feel free to leave tips and tricks. Let's see here. All right, so yeah, things are definitely have changed. When we start on Akua, we don't have a spacesuit. We have armor, but we don't have a spacesuit. Spacesuit's important because it's got a jetpack built into it. It's got a helmet so we can breathe underwater, because there's resources underwater that we're going to want to get. And we can't get the spacesuit until tier 5. So what we're going to focus on to start with is grinding to level 5. And the best way to do that, as I remember, is to pick resources and kill enemies. And then once we get to level 5 and can get that suit, then that really opens some things up for us. The next thing we'll want to do is grind to level 7 as quick as possible, because that's where we open up the drill for mining. Now, before then, we have the survival 2, which we can mine with, but it's pretty lame. It's very basic and it takes a long time. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to get the survival 2 out now. If we right-click on this, we have 3 modes. Resource mode allows us to mine stuff. Defense mode is a very weak kind of laser zapper thingamadoodle. And then salvage mode allows us to break down, wrecks for materials. So we're going to keep it in resource mode for now. And kind of, as we go along and we figure stuff out, we're going to... Here, let me put this stuff down here. We're going to, be picking resources as we go, but we also want to get ourselves a base location as soon as possible, and we want that to be near water. Okay, so let's open up the map with M, and we aren't too far away from water, which is good. So I think that's what we'll do. We're going to just head south, start picking, and harvesting resources, and find a location along the water here. And the reason why water is important is because, like I said, it does have resources in it, but we also need it to make water, which we then need to use for making oxygen. Actually, no, I guess that's not entirely true. We do have a portable oxygen thingamadoodle that we can put fuel in, and then I guess it takes, moisture from the air. But to make the big water generator, the one that we're going to need for base operations, we need to be near water. So, okay. So, like I said, I'll mention things that have changed since the last time I played. For example, this is a silicon, surface deposit, and it looks different. That's just wood. This is carbon. I don't remember there being carbon actual stones the last time I played. I think you had to make carbon from biomaterial. I think. I'm not 100% sure about that. It doesn't sound familiar to me. But this here is plant protein, and we can use this. Okay, so we've already reached level 2. Nice. We can use this to make plant protein, which we can then turn into protein bars for food. So that's the main thing. Now, that stuff can be really hard to find on other planets, but on Akua, it's pretty abundant. So we won't have a food problem at all here on Akua. Okay, down here we've got, this is plant fiber. We need that for crafting, for making like nitrocellulose and some other stuff, I think. So we want to be picking that. And there's also some copper stones right over by that big tree off to the right there. So we're going to go grab those because we're going to need them. Here we go. So yeah, we need a little bit of copper, a little bit of iron, a little bit of silicon, a little bit of carbon, because those are kind of the basic building blocks, that we need to make other things. So let's go ahead and pick some of these. I know we're not moving towards the water, but I want to grab the copper while the grabbing's good, because we may not see a whole lot of it over by the water. Or maybe we will. I have no idea. So we'll just kind of find that out. Let's see. Temperature is a thing in this game. If you look in the upper right-hand corner underneath the mini-map, you can see that it's currently 91 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a little bit hot. I think that... Well, actually, if we look at the suit, somewhere it's supposed to tell us what the temperature range is. Actually, you know what? I don't know if the armor does, but when we get a suit, we'll be able to see that. Yeah, so... these things are just video tutorials on how to, build bases, hover vessels, and the survival tool. I'm going to get rid of them because I already know all that stuff, and I will be showing that stuff to you guys when we get to that point. So let's just clear that out of our inventory so we have some room. Okay. Now, I am playing with volume and mass on, which means that, you know, we do have limitations on both the volume and the weight that we can have in our inventory. So that's one thing that's kind of unique about this game versus other games, like 7 Days to Die, for example. Which, by the way, if you're curious, that series will continue. 7 Days to Die is the flagship game of my channel, so I'll pretty much always play that. In case anybody's wondering. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so 7 Days to Die is only based upon inventory slots. That's all it is. It doesn't matter how heavy something is. And then other games like Ark Survival Evolved are based upon weight. This game is based upon both. So both volume and weight matter for your inventory. So that's one thing that kind of sets it apart from other games. Some people, I think, probably find that a pain in the ass, and you can turn it off. I like it. I like the challenge of it because it means that you have to consider logistics. And see, we're already level 3. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Each time we level, of course, it exponentially takes longer, like, you know, which is to be expected. But I like that because, you know, then you have to factor that in when you're building bases, building ships and stuff like that, and it just makes things more interesting. So I like that challenge of Empyrion. All right, let's grab this. Let's take a look and see where we're at. Okay, we still have a decent amount of volume left, so we do want to find some critters fairly soon because we're going to level a lot faster. And actually, in terms of leveling, which I think is kind of odd, if you'll notice that if you look in the upper left-hand corner, I get 50 XP for that. But if I pick something, I get 100. So it seems weird because picking is a lot faster and easier than mining. So see, I get 100 XP for that. So if you're really just trying to level as quickly as possible for the sake of leveling, then picking stuff is going to be faster than even mining. But we got to mine, though, too, because we need the resources to build stuff. So we got to do all of it. Let's get a little more silicon. I'd like to... And there's a lot of copper around here. I'd like to get a little more iron, too, because we need lots of iron, of course. So let's start working our way to the water. So we basically want to head south. Yeah. And hopefully we'll run into a couple more iron nodes along the way. The thing that you see in front of me that says resource, that's an actual deposit of some type of mineral. And when we get close enough to it, it'll tell us what it is. So once we get the mining drill, then we can do stuff with that. What the hell? Okay, that's interesting. Fish, I think, are new. I don't remember fish in the water the last time I played. That's cool. So that's a nice little enhancement. We can go in the water, but we don't have oxygen. So, we can't really, we can't stay in the water very long until we get our spacesuit, and then we'll be able to. Now, we can also pick seaweed here. And what that does is it gives us another source of plant protein. So we got this little lake here. Oh, God. It does have a promethium stone, which we're going to need. But I'm thinking we probably should move to the big lake, because the big lake's going to have, a lot of the resources that we're going to want. So yeah, let's just keep heading south. I did load this, right? Okay, so this is confetti moss scrapings. This is an ingredient for medication and stuff. Natural stimulant we can use to make basically space coffee. Thing is if I pick this stuff now, it'll spoil. But you know what? Let's do it anyway because we get the XP. And even the spoiled stuff is good because we need that for farming. So it's not really going to be a waste if it does spoil. Oddly enough, they still use cattails to represent grain. I don't understand why they haven't changed that. A lot of stuff in this game, when it first came out, was just placeholders. And, there still seems to me to be a lot of placeholders, like using cattails for grain. That makes no sense in my brain, but it is what it is, The game isn't perfect, but I have played, God, how many hours have I played of this game? I have 2,015 hours in Empyrion. So I've played it for a bit, but it's, again, like I said, it's just been a long time. And it is fun. It has its charm. All right, look at that. We're already at level 4. It's a beautiful thing. Once we hit level 5, then we'll go into the skill tree and start getting, learning some more stuff. But let's just kind of keep grinding until we get there, because that way we can really start moving and shaking. Yeah, so the game, it's got its issues, but it's also got its charm, and it can be a lot of fun, too. If you are willing to kind of look past some of those things. And again, there's a lot of new stuff that I have not experienced, so I'm hoping that will enhance the overall, game and make it, worth doing a nice, decent, long playthrough again. But, time will tell on that. We will... Yeah, okay, there's an enemy right there. That's called a teleropod. It's like this squid thing, and it is mean, but it'll give us XP. And it will also... Oh, shit, there's another one. I'm going to run out of ammo. I'm out of ammo. Okay, so when that happens, we go to here, and we go to defense mode. Yet. Well, let him bite us. He can infect us and cause all kinds of nasty shit happen. Oh, I'm still not... I didn't get it switched. Okay, let's get away from him. And we also want to loot this guy. I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the upper left-hand corner, I got 500. I should have gotten 500 XP for killing him. Okay, let's switch this to defense mode. Now we can kill him. It's going to take a little while, because this laser just sucks. Fortunately, though, it's a level 1. And he's stuck on the thing. There we go. Yeah, see in the upper left, we got 500. And we got some meat, too. So, what we can do in our suit is our suit has a very basic constructor built into it. And, we can make, like, the water condenser, we can make some plant protein and some energy bars, some bandages, but we already have some of those, so I'm not going to do that yet. We can make a tent, which we can use for a spawn point and also to pass the night, because nighttime is dangerous. Okay, so here's the big lake. Another thing that's changed is we now have a hover bike, whereas before we had a motorcycle, and the motorcycle left something to be desired. It just was always terrible. The little hovercraft is, or hover bike rather, is better. It's still a little wonky, but it's better than I remember the bicycle being. All right, so I don't... let's go along the shore of the lake. I'm not necessarily... Oh, yeah, that gets deep. Whoops. You want to make sure you don't have anything in your hand in the water, or you sink. Yeah, I'm not... I don't really like this part of the shore. Maybe what we'll do is we'll go over that way towards some of those cliffs, because what we can do, and I've used this tactic many times in the past. What's this? Oh, this is titanium. Okay, this is new as well. Well, I don't think it's new. I think it has a new model. Okay, we got to switch back to resource mode. We will need this too. How's our thingy doing? What was that noise? Oh, we just discovered titanium. Okay. Oh yeah, we got lots of room still. Okay, so let's keep picking stuff. Trees, we just cut them down with this as well, but later on we can make a chainsaw. And then when we get further along and we have a hover vessel, we can make a wood harvesting module to get a lot of that all at once. But we are going to need a little bit of wood for certain things. Anyway, what I was saying was, is this... Oh yeah, it's just a big tree. In the lower right-hand corner, you can see how, the progress. We got 10 logs out of that. Okay, we do have to be careful. Wood is heavy. Yeah, it's really heavy. Holy shit. Okay, let's not get any more wood right now. We'll get some more titanium. We Can't remember what I was talking about earlier. Well, here's seaweed that's above the ground. So yeah, there's still some wonky stuff like that in the game. It's not that big of a deal, but you know, you'd think by now they would have fixed that. I don't know. Oh, we're out of space. Okay, so I'm maxed out, so I can't pick up anything else. I think what we will do, though, is let's use this plant protein, and let's just make a shit ton of energy bars. That'll, you know, free up some space in there, but it'll also give us a nice supply of food. And the energy bars, as you can imagine, will last quite a while. They will still perish, but they'll last for a while. Okay, I'm not going to pick anything else. Now, that blue thingy crystal is called a pentaxid crystal. We will need that later for making fuel for our warp drive. I don't remember if we use it for other stuff. Can I pick it up? No, I don't have enough. Okay, so we don't need that right now. We can get that later. This is really weird how some of the seabed is up on the land. But, you know, everything's procedurally generated too, by the way, if that wasn't obvious by picking a seed. So, again, it's not perfect, but it's okay. All right. We are hungry too, so let's... Now, here's a little trick. If you leave this stuff in the output, it won't perish until you move it out. But we do need... Oh, shit. I don't have room for that. Okay, I'm gonna have to drop those. Let's eat some of these to make room for the ones we dropped. And, you know, the volume and the mass doesn't count in the outputs, which makes no sense whatsoever. It's convenient, but it doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, whatever. Okay. Got some waves down there. They also removed... See, I'd like to keep picking this stuff for XP, but we don't have room. So, yeah, we're... I don't remember how we can tell how close we are. Oh, we're already level 5. Holy shit, okay. We must have hit that, and I must have been gabbing or something and didn't notice it. Or maybe it's when we were in combat. Anyway, let's run over to the cliffs. I think I want to set a base in that area. And I think what we'll do is we will burrow into the hillside and do like a cave starter base. One advantage, there's a couple advantages to that. The first is that we'll have more protection from when we get attacked by the enemy. Because at some point after you set your base up, you start getting waves of attacks. So there's a little bit of a tower defense aspect to this game. And the second advantage is we'll harvest a whole bunch of stone in the process, which we need for resources that we can then use. So we kind of kill 2 stones with 1 bird there. Did something just drop? I don't know what that noise was. Can we pick this? Yeah, natural sweetener. Nice. That's one of the food ingredients, and maybe even in some of the meds. This lake is really kind of like down in a dippity-doo here. Seeing lots of copper, that's good. The views are beautiful. Space is very, you know, graphically speaking, space is very beautiful in this game. And the planets are really pretty well done too for voxel-based. The ships can look really good, but, you know, they're a little blocky just because this is a block game. But, you know, if you use the right blocks and design things right, you can make some really nice looking ships, and we'll do that. I have also built several ships, and they are on the workshop, but they're probably all outdated. I don't know that we'll be doing a whole lot of hardcore building in this first, you know, vanilla run through. We'll probably just use workshop stuff, maybe some of my old stuff if I can get it updated. But building's a whole nother aspect to this game, and it can take a really long time if you do it right, you know. And we might get into that later on again, but for now, I think I want to just play the game, check out the new story, or I should say the completed story, and see, you know, what that's like, and go from there. Okay, let's get over near that cliff there. This is a decent-sized lake. Akua is also a small planet. There's also planets that are just enormous that we can visit later. Yeah, so this is considered a small planet here. Oh wow, we're really far south too. A little bit of desert or sand area there. This should be a mountain range. Can't really see it very well from here. But it seems like the mountain ranges have what's that? Is that thing that said I'm invigorated? I don't know what that is. Mountain ranges have some promethium, and they seem to have more iron concentrations from what I saw. Okay, let's go over here. I'm not seeing anything yet that's really tickling my fancy, so to speak. This area is kind of nice over here. Well, let's bring our light out. That's another nice thing about having a spacesuit, is it has a built-in light. So we got to deal with this handheld thing until then. This is kind of a neat little area. It's got, some islands and stuff, but I want to be close to the main shore. So when we do, go out into the water, we can get right out there and don't have to travel a long ways. So this is all like a big bay here that we just went around. Huh, okay, cool. The hover vessel, man, I'd like to grab that iron. Tell you what, let's split this. How do I do that? Shift. Oh, just right click. Let's drop that, and then we'll pick it back up as much as we can after we get this iron. Okay, so that's all we can... Oh, God. Come here, you little fucker. Where'd he go? I can't... You can't shoot this... wait, can you? No, you can't shoot it in the water. Oh, God! Ouch! Come here, bitch. Oh, he's a level 2. See, we don't get more XP for killing higher level monsters, but it takes twice as long, which doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is, I guess. Okay, let's switch back to resource mode. We'll grab this. And yeah, we're just not going to be able to pick up the rest of that wood, so it is what it is. I think it'll despawn after a time. Alright, it is getting dark on us. Let's go across the water here. There is a third-person view, too. I like to use third-person in the water. Get our light back out. And now, I don't know what that thing is. In the previous game, at nighttime, raptors would come out. I'm talking about actual raptors, dinosaur raptors. And they are mean as fuck, so we don't want to run into them. The other thing we could do is just put the tent down now and skip through the night and keep looking. And hopefully nothing attacks us. Yeah, why don't we do that? So I'm gonna do this. Let's put the portable constructor down, and we're gonna load it up with resources. Yeah, plant fibers don't necessarily need the grain. I'm going to make some grilled steaks. Now, the portable constructor has its own built-in power supply, so we don't have to supply power to it, which is nice. I just did a control click, and that excuse me, that queues up a stack of 100. Shift click queues up a stack of 10, and I think alt control is 1,000. It's not going to make it 100, of course, but it'll just make as many as it can. And then let's also do this. Let's go to components, and let's just make ingots like that. If we have time, I don't think we need to do nitrocellulose right now. Now, the reason I'm doing this now is because when we sleep overnight, it'll fast track that stuff, and it'll be done in the morning. We don't have to wait for it. Okay, let's put the tent down. Now, notice if I hit F, we'll do 8-hour sleep. You can't do this. Oh my God, that's beautiful. That's Ningu's up there. Look at that view, guys. We can fly up to that eventually. You can't do that on multiplayer, only on single player. Unless everybody does it at the same time, maybe, I don't know. For obvious reasons, right? Okay, so notice everything is done in here for us, which is amazing. And so let's put all of this into here, because we're going to make some stuff before we set out and keep looking for our base. Yeah, so let's eat all of these steaks. We're going to need all of them to get our food back. And then some. But we have a bunch of protein bars here, and we have a bunch of protein bars queued up here that we don't want to take out right now because they're not spoiling and they're not accounting towards our volume and our weight. Okay, so we are level 5. What we're going to do is we're going to go to weapons, and the first thing we're going to do is learn the armor. We definitely want to make sure we learn that. Now, everything here is a prerequisite to everything later, of course, which is your typical tech tree. I'm going to go for the SMG because it uses pistol ammo, which is cheaper to make than what we would need for the assault rifle. This has a little more range, but, this gives us a little more versatility. I'm also going to do the shotgun because it's just very powerful. And we're going to do the sniper rifle because we're going to need long-range attack. We'll do all this stuff later, but that's not a priority right now. We don't need explosive devices right now. Okay, let's go to tools. We are going to want the multi-tool, but I don't think... Yeah, we already know all that stuff. I don't think we really need any of this stuff at the moment. Let's hold off on that stuff. Now, if we go to miscellaneous, we can do a base cube. We can do the fuel packs. We're going to want a portable constructor. Well, actually, no, we don't. We already have it. We would only do this if we lost the portable constructor and had to remake it. So let's hold off on that. We're going to want the wireless stuff eventually. And I think small constructor, definitely want that. Cargo boxes. Okay, let's wait. Let's hold off on this until we get our base going. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to here, and we're going to make ourselves the suit. Now, if you don't have the direct materials that this needs to craft, and if you look on the tooltip down where it says crafting, we need 10 carbon substrate and 1 optical fiber. If you don't have that made, but you have the raw resources, it'll make the intermediate stuff for you. It didn't used to be that way. In the very early versions of this game, you had to actually manually make all the stuff first. But then at some point with an update, they changed that. Okay, so we're going to make the suit. We're going to make the... Oh, you know what? I don't think we can make the... Here, let's make the shotgun and the sniper. I guess we can't make the SMG in here. We're going to have to wait till we build a small constructor, which is fine. We'll do the chainsaw after we get the base going and get some storage. So let's make some shotgun shells. The output count of this is 30. So let's just do 30 of those. Output count of the pistol rounds, which we're not gonna well, we do have a pistol, but let's just go with shotgun shells and some sniper rounds. So output count of this is 15. So let's make 30 of those as well. And that should, you know, the shotgun is infinitely better than the multi-tool. So we won't have any trouble at all with the teller pods once we get the shotgun going. Even the, you know, the higher level ones. Okay, so that's that. We don't really need to make meds at the moment. We are going to want the chainsaw. We are going to need a base block. But let's wait till we get to the base location before we do that. Oh, yeah, we want the hover bike. I knew I was missing something really important that we want right now. Is the hover bike. So let's get that going too. And so when all this stuff is finished, I'll bring you guys back and we will go continue looking for a new base location. Okay, everything's finished. Let's put that into our inventory. We'll take and put the hover bike down there. We'll put the armor on here. Now, one thing I'll point out is if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that it's 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and I've got a red temperature symbol. It's not directly dangerous to us, but because we're cold, we're consuming, you know, calories faster. So that's the effect of that. But if it gets too cold, then we can start getting, you know, like frostbite and bad stuff can happen. But what we're going to do is we're going to put the armor on here. And in doing that, we now have better temperature protection. So if we look at the screen tip, we can see that we have 10 heat protection, 10 cold protection, and 2 radiation protection. Plus, you know, it does cost us a little bit more food because, you know, we have more weight now, which makes sense, and stamina. We have a little bit of protection from falling, speed multiplier, and we also have oxygen, and most importantly, well, I don't know if most importantly, but importantly, we have a jetpack. So if I press J, I turn on the jetpack, and now I have a jetpack. Now, it's pretty limited in this first armor set, but we can put boosters on to improve the jetpack, you know, later on. Okay, let's take and put our shotgun in number 2, our sniper in 3. We also have the ability to sort, so I like to sort my own inventory by mass, with the heaviest at the top, so that way I know, you know, what is heaviest in our inventory. And we'll go ahead and load up our shotgun. A little space-aged shotgun there. And our sniper rifle. Obviously, 8 hours on Akua didn't get us all the way to morning, but if we look at the map here, we can see, you know, that sunrise is getting close to us. So we definitely slept through the majority of the night. So we shouldn't need this light too much longer. All right, now, operation figure out where we're going to do our base. And looking around this lake, if we want to burrow into a cliffside, I think I'm not really seeing anything else along this lake that fits that bill. So probably our best bet's going to be maybe back over here. So, you know, or maybe even that cliff over there. So let's go ahead and pull everything out of here. I guess there isn't a take all option. Hopefully I can hold all this. Yeah, okay. And then we'll pick up this. And we'll pick up this. And we should be able to pick up this, though if we get on it, we can use it. It's just that this thing goes really slow across the water, so that's a thing. Let's go over here. Okay, we could maybe burrow into there. That cliff there is high enough to where it could work well for us. It's just that there's no land right out in front of it. I guess it still goes faster across the water than if I was swimming, so it's not that bad, I suppose. we could burrow in here. This gives us a little bit of a platform out here, or a little bit of land. And, you know, I can also build... I can build like a dock, too. I mean, we could definitely do that. I don't know that we're going to get super fancy with this very first base, though. Because, you know, we're not going to stay here forever. Once we get spacebound, we have, you know, the whole galaxy is our oyster at that point, right? So, don't want to spend a lot of time doing a super fancy build. Okay, let's just look around a little bit more. The other thing I want to do is build on the cardinal direction too, for obvious reasons. So that means we'd need to be facing this way if we burrowed into there, which I suppose would work okay if we just did it right here. I'll tell you what I think we're going to do, guys. Let's... How far back can we go on this hill? This side might be a little bit better, but again, I'd like to kind of be facing right out towards the deep water. Okay, yeah, so I think what we'll do is let's just start here. And if we find another place... I think over here, right? Okay, that's pointing directly east. What we could do is... Yeah, let's burrow in right here, pointing towards the east. If we find another location that I really, really like, even on Akua, you know, there's nothing to say we couldn't move to there later. Right. Okay, so let's make sure we're facing east and we can burrow in here. Now, if I remember right how to do this, we do have a drone. So if I press F5, I got a little drone. Very useful for all kinds of things, and for building and stuff. So what we want to do with the drone is we want to get the tool out. We want to make sure this is in resource mode. And it used to be able to hit tab and then come back out, and then it would bring up the mini-map, but I wonder if they changed that. And if they did, why? I mean, God, why wouldn't we have our mini-map? Yeah, you used to be able to hit tab, I think, and then the mini-map would come up. Oh, shit. Okay, I guess that's not available to us anymore. Okay, well, anyway, the point here is that we can go farther, deeper, etc., get into high places with the drone that we can't by ourselves. Now, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, as I tilt the drone, you'll see it shows the angle all the way in the lower right-hand corner. So right here, I'm at 0 degrees. Now, it's really hard to hold that, but what I want to do is I want to keep this as level as possible so we have a nice level floor. But actually, before I do that, let me make sure, okay, make sure my player is pointing directly east, and then we'll try not to move left and right, because if we have the mini-map, then that wouldn't be a problem, but obviously we don't. Okay, so what we're going to do is get a little closer, and we're going to just hold the mouse as still as possible and start burrowing into this mountainside so we have a nice straight tunnel. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but, you know, we want it to be reasonably straight. When we get to the drill, which we can get at level 7, this will be much, much faster. But right now, this is all we have to work with. We are collecting stone as we do this, too. Now that I think about it, though, I'll bet you that stone is probably falling down at our feet because we may not have room for it. But I don't want to stop now because then I'll have to try and reset everything. So yeah, being inside the mountain gives us some degree of protection from the enemy attacks. They'll still try and attack us, and they can do terrain damage, but you know, if we're far enough in, it's going to be inconsequential. Okay, so I'm just about out of range with my character. So why don't we do one more, and then we'll stop there. Okay, so yeah, we went back quite a ways. My goodness, that was actually further back than I thought. And we do have the stone in our inventory, 472. Okay, so we're good on that count. Okay, let's go back here. Oh, if I do L, I have my suit light. Now what we're going to do is, let's look at the thing. Yeah, let's dig to the north now. So we're going to turn our guy so he's facing north. God, I thought I heard footsteps. Get up against the wall, back. No, we want to be on this level. Oh, I wonder if it's going to let me launch the drone. Nope. Yeah, it's too tight. Okay. Okay, what I need to do then is I need to make this ceiling a little higher. Okay, now let's try that. All right, we're going to face north. And by the way, no, it's not necessary for me to be this concise, but it's not hard to do, so we might as well make things look somewhat nice, right? Even though this is a temporary thing. Okay, so we're facing north. Wait, god damn it. Why can't I? Still doesn't want to let me get the drone out. There. Okay. Well, you know what? We'll just face north as best as we can based upon our player's position. Okay, I think we want to be right about here, and then we want to angle down to 0 degrees, and then hold the mouse still. Okay, now let's start cutting this way. It looks like we went a little too deep, but that's okay. I'm already actually spending a little more time on this, too much time on this as it is. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to burrow out a reasonably large chamber here that we can then set up our base in. So I'll bring you guys back when I have the chamber cut out. All right, guys, I have a decently sized chamber dug out here. I went a little too far this way, so this will just end up being a back door for us. And it's you know, it's reasonably level. So what I think we'll do is we're gonna need some space, some ground or stone to set the portable stuff down, because we can't set the portable stuff down on foundations. So maybe we'll make this little pocket that area over here. Dig that out to there. Very good. Now what we're going to do, I ended up putting the constructor down because I was running out of space. Since we have a butt ton of crushed stone now from doing this, we're going to use concrete to build out of. We could use wood too, but we might as well use concrete since we have it, and it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to queue up a starter base block. So this basically will be the core of our base. So whenever you build anything in this game, you know, bases, spaceships, hovercraft, etc., it has to have a core. That's kind of like the central processing, you know, unit, whatever, CPU of the of whatever that structure is, or vessel. So we got to build this first, because until we do, we can't set any blocks down because everything has to attach to the core. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to queue up 100 concrete blocks. We may end up needing more than that when it's all said and done, but we'll start with 100. And actually, hold on. Before we do that even, why don't we do a storage? Looks like we're going to need to learn that in the tech tree. So that's probably under base. Yeah, cargo box. Okay, so let's learn cargo box. And you know, we'll learn stuff as we go, as we need them. I'm not going to learn a whole bunch of stuff in advance just because, you know, we do have limited points. We have 44 points, so we want to use those judiciously. All right, so you are not showing me any progress. Why not? There you go. Okay. So, again, that's still a bug in this game. So, another thing that has been fixed. All right. So, that gives us the starter block. Let's put that down in our toolbar. And now we want to go to devices or components. Or no, yeah, devices. And let's make a cargo box. Because I think, yeah, we'll be able to access this remotely within a very limited range. Now later on, we'll be able to install a wireless module that'll give us a lot more range and, you know, more things we can connect to. But this is really important because of the fact that otherwise we're only going to be able to carry, you know, like 3 or 4 of those concrete blocks at a time because they're so big, right? Now, for the core, excuse me, let's go ahead and just put that right about in the middle. And what we're going to do, excuse me, is we're going to sink this down till it's kind of level with this area here. And the way we do that is we use page down. Oh, you know what, though? I think... Is it going to stay at that level? Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Okay, well, whatever. We'll just guess it. So we'll just go right about here in the center-ish. Doesn't have to be perfectly in the center. And then let's page it down to about there. And that gives us our core. Another thing we could and probably even should have done, no, I don't think it matters a whole lot for this build, is we could have buried this down to protect it even more because when the enemy attacks you, this is what they're trying to destroy. They're coming after your core, and so you want to really protect it. All right, now let's make let's start queuing up. Let's just do 10 of these for now. Yeah, we'll do 10 of those for the moment. But like I said, we can only carry... Let's see how many it'll let me carry. 5. Can we get 6? No. Okay, so 5 is the max we can carry. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set that block there. And then we're going to bring this out to here. Grab another batch, 4 more. What I think then we'll do is this will be the south wall of the base here. So let's put that in place. Which means I think I want to dig this out a little bit more. Just so we have enough room, again, to set down our portable devices. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put... This is going to be the west wall here. So, let's put the storage here. Now, I'm going to right-click, and you can choose from different models, but the model you choose also can impact its capacity. So, for example, this one will only only has a volume capacity of 8 KSU, so 1,000 storage units basically. But this bigger one has 16, so it has double, even though we used the same materials for both, which is weird, but it's the way it works. And I like this MSO2 large style. Then we're going to hit home or end to rotate. I'm going to set that there. We'll fill that block in down below. Okay, now let's go over here and grab as much of this stuff as we can carry. We'll transfer it over to here. We need a put everything in here option. Let's take you and put you here. And let's make it this, this survival tent. We'll put it right there. So that is currently our spawn point and, our sleep option, of course. And we'll go over here and grab the rest of this stuff. And we'll pick this up. And we want to put this down right here so I can pivot from here to the storage. Let's put it that way. Well, okay, we're going to do a door here. So if I put this here, I should still be able to get to that and that. Yeah, okay, so that's good. Let me look at something. We need to get a water condenser going. So let's get that made, because this will start making O2 and water for us. But we're also going to set up a larger water generator on the lake too. But we need that more for the base's needs as opposed to our own personal needs, though, we can use it for that too. You can do a shift right click and you can eat your energy bars directly from the output without having to pull them all out. So very handy. You feel very comfortable and satisfied. Yes. Okay, so let's grab our water condenser and rotate it this way and put it right there. Okay, so for this to work, we have to put fuel in here. So let's move all of this back into here for the moment. And we also want to move all of these materials into here. We will make a small constructor, which is the next level up here, in just a little while. Okay, I think that's all I really need to move over. That should be stay in our inventory. Did I put our shotgun shells in here too? Yeah, I did. Okay, no. We've got to keep those in our own inventory. Let's keep that in there too. Okay, so what we want to do is we can either make energy cells, or we can make biofuel. Biofuel's the cheapest, but it also has the least amount of fuel. So, see, what does this take? This takes steel plates and electronics, which means it takes iron, copper, and silicon as the base to make all that, if not something else. But it does give us a fuel value of 15 PUH parts. That's just how much it gives us. Whereas this gives us 10, but this only takes plant fiber, so it's way cheaper to make. So I think what I'm going to do is let's queue up 10 of those. So we can get this going, making water and oxygen for us. And then after that, we need to make a whole bunch of concrete blocks. So I'm going to do a control click and we'll queue up 100 blocks for this to get going, because what we're going to do is we're going to build out the floor. Now, if we were on a planet that didn't have oxygen and or that had extreme temperatures, we would have to seal the base. We'd have to, so it's pressurized. On Akua, we don't really need to do that. The one reason why we might do that is because, you would want to do it if your base was out in the open, for protection from the enemy. But the only other reason why we might want to do it is if we get cold at night. But we can make a heater for that, so it's not really necessary to to completely enclose the base when you're in a cave like this. I might do that later anyway, we'll see, but I don't think we really need to, at least not at this point. Now, I can and probably will carve more of this ceiling out, just so we have a little more space, but for now I just want to get, you know, up and running with all of our equipment. Oh god, that's going to take a long time. All right, let's put this in here. So this will operate for 14 minutes. And we have 22% source quality, which basically means how well it can pull water out of the atmosphere. It's probably not very good right here because we're inside of a cavern as opposed to outside, which makes me think maybe we should put this outside. Yeah, maybe I will put that outside, but if I pick it up now, we're going to waste that thingy of fuel. So I'll tell you what, since it's so cheap to make, let's just make another one. We just need some carbon substrate. No, not that. This. Whoops. We'll just make another one and put it outside, and then when this one is finished with its fuel, I'll pick it up and we'll just have 2 going. Okay. The other thing too is let's cancel that or bring it back down to 1 because we need to get the blocks going. And then I'll make more fuel after we have enough blocks. Okay, there's our first O2 bottle. We don't need to do anything with this right now, but when we go underwater later on to get some resources, we'll start running out of O2, and then this is what we will use to refill that. Oops. Okay, so that's almost done. We've got... Oh, come on, man. There. Okay, let's take those 3 cans of fuel with us outside. We can put our big water generator right down there. But for this one, let's just set it out here. Now, it does run the risk of getting destroyed, but, you know, it's cheap and easy, so it's not a big deal. So let's just put this right there. Okay. So this has, oh. It's the same. Okay, so I guess it doesn't matter that we were inside the cavern. Okay, well, in that case, we'll move this one back in, but let's not waste the fuel. I figured it must just have to have something to do with where you are on the planet itself, I guess. So we'll just put a second one back here too. Maybe, I don't know, we'll find a spot for it. Okay, so let's stand here, and I think, oh, you know what I can do? I have to remember how to do this. Remember, I'm very rusty. Let's put you back in there, and you can go in there for now too. If we press F4, that brings up the logistics menu. And this over here, this is our inventory over here. This shows what storages we have in the base. Now, obviously, I can just look right into it too, but, you know, in case we weren't near it. Press F4. If we click this, we connect remotely or wirelessly to that container. And then anything we put on this yellow toolbar or orange toolbar is in actuality inside this container, not in our own inventory, but we still have access to it. So we can use that, but we have a pretty limited range as to, you know, how well that works. So now what I can do is I can take 32 of these blocks, put it in the toolbar. They're actually taking up space in here, but I can carry, you know, a whole mess of them around instead of just being limited to 3 or 4 with my own inventory. So it's very cool. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to start putting these blocks down and building out our floor. And if we have spots like this where the stone peeks up through the floor, we can trim that with our multi-tool. So if I press T, I switch back to my own toolbar. And then I can cut that out like that. So that way, you know, it wasn't super critical that I was perfect with the level. That doesn't matter because it's going to be covered up by, by the wall that we're going to put in. And the only reason I'm doing walls is just because, if I remember right, we can get attacked by enemy troops. And this is relatively easy for them to burrow through, so we at least want a wall for protection of all of our stuff in the base. Okay, so let's go back to here. We'll press T again. And now we have 44 blocks, and we'll start building out the floor here. Okay, we have a couple of spots here that are just a little too high, so we're going to have to trim those down, which isn't a big deal. Now, the game does have SI for blocks, but it doesn't have SI for terrain. So it's kind of like Minecraft in that regard. So, I could dig out an enormous cavern and I don't have to worry about the terrain itself collapsing. But the blocks do have SI, so you do have to take that into account when you're building stuff. Okay, let's go back over to here and go back to our toolbar and grab another batch of blocks. Okay, over here, I want to push this back one more block. Just because of how it's going to line up with the doorway. Okay, so that'll be our east wall. And then we'll do a door here. I don't know if I'm going to worry too much about that. It's a little stone being there. I think we'll leave that there, at least for now. Okay, now we can go further this way if we want to, but I think we're going to start with this area here. Let's also... yeah, we're going to wall this off to here. And then we'll put a doorway here so we can get back in here to our portable stuff. Okay, we have 12 more blocks. Let's just finish out this wall. I'm going to leave this open for now. Then we'll go to there. We can't really go any further this way or we're going to break through the terrain. So that means then I think that yeah, this will have to be walled off to at least there. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, let's go ahead and wall this off too. And I can take these blocks back down later if we need to expand. That is not what I wanted to do. Okay, we'll have to go to salvage mode and break this down, and it's going to take a long time because this tool sucks. Well, a comparably long time anyway. Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to make ourselves a... we're going to need a generator, a fuel tank to get power in the base. And while we're waiting for that, let's just make a shit ton of biofuel, because we'll just use biofuel to start with. And while that's happening, we need to go to here. Let's go to base. We need a T1 fuel tank. We don't need an oxygen station for Akua. We would if we had to pressurize. We need a small generator. We need a small constructor. And we are going to need the food processor as well. But I think we'll worry about that stuff a little later. I also want to learn basic lighting, which we already know. Okay. Alright, now what we want to do is go to here. And we want to build a generator, a small generator, a fuel tank, and we need to make sure we get the fuel tank for the base, not for vessels. So the way we can do that is we can click just on base to filter that out if we didn't already know. Also, the orange and yellow, or red and yellow dots indicate red for base and yellow for capital vessels. So that's another way you can tell. So let's get that queued up, and then we want to make the small constructor thirdly, and we're going to also want a couple of doors. Okay, so let's cancel this so we can get the components made, and then we'll go back to making the fuel. Now, in the meantime, we got 6 thingies of O2 and 6 things of purified water. Let's put another couple of those in there. We'll go out and grab the one outside and bring it in, because we don't need it out here after all. Okay, we'll shift F, pick that up. And let's just put it right there. And we'll put a couple of thingies of fuel in there as well. Can I store these in here? I can't. Okay. So let's just leave those in there for now, since they're not hurting anything. And we'll put those into storage. Alright, so our generator's done. What we want to be careful of with the generator, it's not a really big deal, but it does generate radiation. So if we get too close to it, we'll start taking radiation damage. It's very minimal unless we, stood in front of it for a really long time. So because this is just a real quick starter base, I'm not going to worry about it too much. We'll just put it in that corner, and we'll try not to get too close to that corner. Okay, now we have our fuel tank. We'll set that. It doesn't have to be near the generator, but we're going to put it there anyway. And remember too, okay, a little thingy popped up. We can access the fuel tank from the F4 menu. Maybe we can't. I think we have to have the wireless device first. No, we can. Never mind. Sorry. So I guess this is storage and this is machinery. So yeah, we can access it from here, and we can just fill it up. So we don't even have to go near it to do that, which is really handy. So this is... Come on. Okay, almost halfway there. And then once again, let's go back to here. We got to go back to all. And we'll just queue up a bunch of these for now. Now, we'll make energy cells and eventually make Promethium fuel packs later on, better sources of fuel. But for now, the biofuel will get us by. You know what? I think I am going to clear this. Yeah, we got a little bit of a dippity doing there, but that looks better. Okay, so we got our small constructor. We got our 2 doors. We're going to put the small constructor right here. And what we can do with this is we can link it to any of the containers that we have in the base. Right now we only have 1, but if we had 5, we'd be able to choose from a list of 5. So this is the input. So anything inside this container will input into here. So that way we don't have to, preload it like we have to with the portable. And then this is the output. Now, by default, the input and the output container is one in the same, but if we wanted to have a different container for the output, then we could assign that there if we had, one available, which we don't at the moment. Let's sort this maybe alphabetically. No, actually, I think I'd rather sort this by type. Let's grab this fuel. We'll press F4, go to fuel, and dump it in there. So it only gets us 2%. So we basically get 1% per can, which isn't very good, but it's good enough for now. You can choose from different style of doors, but depending upon which ones you choose, they may or may not be airtight. So if you look at the screen tip, this one isn't, that one is, that one isn't, and so forth. But because we're not worried about Yeah, let's do that one. We're not worried about pressurizing on Akua. We'll just put those so we can kind of see through them. All right. Now, the last thing we're going to do in this first episode is we're going to fire up the base. So if I press a P, that brings up the control panel for P. And this is where we can control various aspects of our base, including turning on the power. Power is on. Constructor is now powered, which means we can now start to use it to make more advanced items, including our submachine gun, which we're going to queue up right now. And the last thing I want to do before I let you guys go is I want to put a couple lights in here. Not that we necessarily need them because we have our suit light, but let's just do it anyway. Can I make that in here? Doesn't look like I can do lights in here. I'm going to have to make them in here. Oh, we need glass plates and optical fiber. Okay, so now what we have to do is we need to move everything out of here except for the plant fiber that we're using to make the fuel. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to grab the wood. The other thing I could have done is I could have put this on the toolbar too, the T toolbar. Except for I'm not connected to it anymore because I got out of range. We're going to need to keep some of that in there because it's making the plant fibers from that to make the fuel. And of course I'll go out off camera and harvest a whole shit ton of wood too. Okay, let's go to F4, let's go to fuel, and we'll put that in there. Okay, so now we have 4%. If we go to P for the control panel, it should tell us that yeah, okay, we have 3 hours and 20 minutes of power, just even with that much. So that's pretty good. All right, nice. Oh, we can manage it from here too. Yeah, so I can click manage and also fill up. So that's just another way to get to that stuff. All right, now we should be able to make lights. Let's just do 2. This constructor is a lot faster than the portable as well. And let's also make another concrete block. And what I'm going to do is get to about here-ish and punch a hole up in the ceiling and put... Oh, it's not going to let me do that because it's not connected to the core. All right, so we can still do it. What we're going to have to do is come here. Okay, let's grab the other block out of here. Get in our drone. Do that and that. Then we're going to need to build some more blocks further out. Okay, so now we're just going to essentially make a light bar with these ginormous blocks here. Okay, grab the lights. And let's put one, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we go 3 that way and 1, 2, 3 that way. Okay, so if I turn my suit light off, that doesn't give us much light, but what we can do is go into here and go to devices and grab the first light, and you can name these too and just bump the intensity and the range up on both of them, and then it gives us pretty good light. Now I'll have to cut this stone away here too, of course, which I'll do off camera. I'm not gonna do that on camera. And then this will light this area up pretty good. For now, let's put our suit light back on. All right, ladies and gents, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this first episode here, and then I'm going to do some off-camera stuff. I'm going to carve the rest of this stone out of the way, probably go out and gather up a whole bunch of resources, and then when we start the next episode, we will advance some more of our points, and then we'll probably go out and explore and go from there. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Do let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this and if you would like to see more Empyrion. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, whether or not we continue this depends upon if I get enough enough views on the channel to make it viable, and if I myself, of course, am enjoying it, which I am so far. And that will kind of dictate how long we do this. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, share out the video. And we'll catch you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.